Welcome to the Lions Den on the Tower, Lindenwood Student Radio. I'm James Z.
And I'm Emily G.
And today we're joined by the Lindenwood men's soccer coach, Kris Bertsch, and by second-year Lindenwood defender, Cameron Caldwell.
It's back-to-back weeks with a Caldwell. I didn't know if you knew that. But are you related to Jeff at all?
No, I'm not.
All right. Well, we're really excited to have you both on. And we're also very thankful for Lindenwood Athletics for giving us this opportunity, Evans Commons for letting us use their facility, and thank you guys for giving us part of your evening.
So to start off the show, we're going to have both of you guys introduce yourselves to our listeners. We got a lot of people who have maybe never even interacted with collegiate men's soccer before. So, Coach, if you could just give them a little bit of an introduction to who you are and how you got here.
Sure. I'm the head coach, men's soccer team, in my second year here. I came most recently from St. Louis University, where I was there for 5 years. Before that, I was at Atlanta United, the MLS club, working with the first team, the second team, and the academy. Before that, I was in college a long time. I was at University of Louisville for a year and a half. I was at Xavier University, associate head coach for 5 years. Syracuse University and UConn for 4 years, and my playing career was at American University in Washington, D.C., and I grew up in New Jersey before going to college in Washington, D.C.
All right. And Cameron, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Cameron Caldwell. I'm a second-year defender here, like you guys said. Originally went to Maryville University, a little bit down the road, transferred here. Like I said, it's my second year.
Right.
I'm number 4 on the team, and I'm originally from Kansas City.
Number 1 in our hearts, though.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to start off, Cameron, with you with this. How did you get into soccer, and when did you decide that you wanted to play collegiately?
Yeah, I think for me, much like a lot of kids growing up in America, I played a lot of sports, played as many sports as my parents could get me into, to be honest. So up until high school, I think I probably played 5-6 sports. And then once I got to high school, it's kind of like, I really enjoy soccer. I want to maybe try and do something with it. So I think sophomore year of high school is when I was talking to my club coach at the time. I want to try and get into college, see if I can do something with it then.
All right.
And, Coach, what got you into the game, and when did you know that you wanted to pursue coaching?
You know, my dad was a runner, Olympic qualifying runner. My brother was a runner, all stuff like that. And I was a runner who played soccer. And so my brother was 3.5 years older than me, got into it, hated the sport. I somehow loved it and fell in love with it and just went with it and traveled all over the country, world, and very fortunate, had a lengthy career. And, so I fell in love with the sport just by playing it every day.
Yeah. And then is that how you got into coaching, just falling in love with it and going?
You know, I think a little prematurely got into coaching early, which was a good thing. I was fortunate in high school and college. I was playing, training with MLS teams for about 6, 7, 8 years at a high school and college. And then I was not injured really my whole time growing up. I got injured kind of at the wrong time, and an opportunity to potentially go overseas didn't happen. And I got an opportunity to start at UConn, which was one of the top programs in the country. And I kind of thought that was something I would do in the short term, and go back to playing, and fell in love with it. And I think my parents always said, "You'll be a great coach one day." I didn't think it would be that soon, but I guess I stuck with it.
Well, I'd say you've done pretty good so far. Every school you've been at, it's been a winner for most of the seasons you've been there. I think I was looking through the Lindenwood website, which I know doesn't always get updated, but when I was looking at it, only 2 losing seasons, I think, in the entire time you were coaching?
Yeah, and both times I just met the team the first day of preseason, so I never got to work or recruit those, and then the other one was the same thing. I just got there, so it was both of my first years, so unfortunately.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you've been out on the East Coast. You said you grew up out there, then you played Washington, D.C., and then you kind of worked your way in, going to Xavier, Louisville, and then SLU. How have you liked living here in the Midwest compared to out there, and how did you end up getting the job at Lindenwood?
Sure, definitely an East Coast guy. Spent a lot of time growing up there, and to Easterners, the Midwest seems like it's in Siberia. I went from Syracuse to Xavier and fell in love with the Midwest. It's just the way of life. I think people are just generally nicer, and it's not so much push and shove in your face. And then as you get older, the city life is not nearly what you need, and I think the Midwest is very livable. And obviously, I'm married with 3 kids, and a family lifestyle is very easy. So I kind of really haven't left the Midwest too much since I've moved out to the Midwest.
As someone who has been born and raised in the Midwest, it's probably my favorite. I mean, I don't really travel, but I do love the Midwest.
I do love it over here. Emily, I got a question for you, actually, before we move on. I know I'm throwing this at you. So growing up in the U.S., a lot of kids don't have a lot of experience with soccer. They don't have a lot of exposure. And I was going to ask you, what has been your exposure to the sport as you've grown up over here?
I watched like our women's team and our men's team in high school because I worked on our yearbook, so I'd always go to games, take pictures and everything. That's about it. But then over summer, I interned with a baseball team, and one of the other interns, she plays for Eastern Kentucky University. She's now a grad assistant coach, and she kind of, anytime I was over at her house, soccer was on, and so I just kind of watched and learned through her. And I even called her last night when we were working on our rundown and writing questions, and I was like, does this sound smart? Does this sound good? And she was like, let's fix this. So, yeah, pretty much. But I've only ever been like, my dad has always said I am not a ball sport athlete, if that makes sense. I'm a swimmer, I'm a dancer, I'm a cheerleader. That's about it.
Everything I'm not.
Yeah. And I had dreams. I wanted to keep playing soccer, but I was playing YMCA soccer from kindergarten up to 8th grade. And as you know, that's not exactly the most competitive level possible, but just didn't want to play select. I didn't have a lot of time for it. And I knew a lot of people at school that were on the select team. We didn't get along. So when I tried out for the high school team, I gave it my all. Didn't quite make it, but I still have a big appreciation for the sport, and it helped me make a lot of friends growing up. Yeah. But I'm really glad that we got you guys on the show today. A few people that have made it in the soccer world, and they're still making it in the soccer world. So thank you guys for opening up everyone's eyes to soccer here.
Yeah, it's a great sport to open your eyes up to, too. And Cameron, you started off your collegiate career at Maryville, as you said, and then transferred here ahead of last season. How did you hear about Lindenwood, and what guided you in making that decision to come here and to transfer?
Yeah, so my first 3 years at Maryville, I was pretty familiar with Lindenwood because they were in our conference. We played them every year. I think my freshman year we ended up playing our conference tournament here, so I got to see Hunter, which I thought was really nice. But I didn't get to see a lot of the rest of the campus. I think going into the portal, I had Coach Bertsch reach out to me. And to be honest, at first I didn't know a lot about Lindenwood. I didn't know what to expect, but hearing more of his visions for not only myself but what he had envisioned the program to be, it got me onto campus. And once I got onto campus, it was closed. Like the campus is beautiful. Obviously, the coaching staff's amazing, and then now being on the team, some of my closest friends now, probably the closest team I've been on, and that's a crazy thing to say, I think, considering we all kind of came at the same time. I think our first game was maybe 2 weeks after we had all arrived on campus, and I think by that time we were already pretty close. So, yeah.
Yeah, and like you said, there's a lot of great memories here at Lindenwood. What have been your favorite memories so far?
It's a difficult one. It's been a good 2 years, to be honest. Specifically on campus, this is tough. Honestly, for me on campus, one of my favorite memories is our first training. It was a lot of fun just meeting all the guys, being around all the guys. We did some fun activities the first training. But I think every day brings its memories, I guess, good or bad. But I think overall, every day it's enjoyable to be on the campus, be with the guys, and just playing the sport we love.
And, Coach, what have been your favorite Lindenwood memories?
It's always the transformational stuff, being in the locker room with the guys, the banter. Being on the road, I think, is always important because you spend more time with the individuals. But on campus, I think, there's nothing like being on a college campus on a game day, win, lose, or draw. But obviously the wins are so sweet and they're enjoyable. They're hard to get. There's really very few easy games in college soccer unless you make them easy. But I think always just being around the team and guys stopping by the office and just talking about anything not soccer related is as important to me as anything. And then obviously the continued relationships that we retain with these guys when they graduate.
And I got one more question for you guys before we move into this week's action. What was the decision process like getting Cameron to come on to the show?
That was easy. We've had some good banter recently in the last few days about a few different topics. He's a good sport. He's a good person. And I think going back to it, I'm pretty sure you were the first recruit I brought in. Yeah. So I had such conviction with Cameron. And so he's just a guy who's coachable. He's a good human. He's a guy who does well in the classroom. He's buttoned up, and it's just that was very easy for me to kind of get Cameron here.
Yeah. And then so on Sunday, you had a pretty sweet victory against Eastern Illinois Panthers in your conference matchup. The Lions dominated the game, winning by a final score of 0-0, with all 6 goals being scored by a different player. That was pretty cool to watch. Coach, were there any expectations coming into this game? And if so, do you feel like the team met them?
Yeah, I think I just said 20 seconds ago that there's no easy games in college soccer, and we made it look easy, right? That's not usually what happens. The good thing of the guys came in, with the mentality of a little bit of, we were carrying a game against them last year into the final minutes of the game, up 1-0, and we lost 2-1. So I don't think we forgot that. And then at home at Hunter last year, we were up 1-0 again, and they tied it, and we had a handball, red card, and a penalty kick. We missed it and didn't score. We tied them, and we felt it was very disappointing to throw away points in 2 games against them. So we had our minds right and our performance right, and then obviously the guys produced and stepped up. I don't think there's many games that will play out like that, but that's just one of those that a lot of things went right.
Yeah. You guys made the camera work easy for me. I was the game cam. Just had to keep it parked in one corner for the majority of it. But outside of a few opportunities for the Panthers, you guys were able to pretty much lock it down defensively. Not a whole lot of stuff happening on your third. What was it like playing in a game where the offense is just able to take control and make things easy, as you said?
Yeah, I think going into the game, we had somewhat of an understanding, having played them 2 times last year and seen a little bit, that maybe we wouldn't have a lot of times where we're having to defend and they're on the ball a lot. And the main focus was on counters. So I think we had the expectation with maybe they weren't going to attack on us a lot. I don't know if we had the expectation that they weren't going to attack on us as much as they did last game. But I think it was nice. I think overall, no one expected it to be a 6-0. I think we knew it was going to be a difficult game, or we thought so at least. But I think it's just the body of work that we've been putting in, the amount of chances we've created over the past few games, and just maybe not getting that final product, all of it coming together was nice. And I think those goals obviously kind of took things off the defense. Let us have an easier game.
Yeah. And then, Coach, after watching this game and seeing so many players put the ball in the back of the net, what does this allow you to do as a coach during the game?
Yeah, it allows us to play a lot more guys. I think we said it literally before the game. We said at halftime is if you put the work in early, you open up more opportunities for more guys to do more work. And so the work is shared. It's exciting when so many guys are involved. And I think when you score goals or set up goals and get assists, I think it's contagious both ways. And you see guys who are getting assists, and all of a sudden they start working on their games a little differently, trying to get more assists. Guys scoring goals want to score more goals. And 2 games in a row with shutouts, I think the defensive details get a little bit more improved. And so, winning's contagious, but so is losing. So I'd like saying the word winning a lot more than losing.
I was going to say, you guys kind of have a Lamborghini back in net, but you don't have to use them all the time, which I think is nice. You're not wearing them down. Once again, I just always like watching him play. I love Enzo. But this is now your guys' 3rd conference game of the season. And, Coach, I kind of want to get an idea of how you see the team stacking up against the conference and what this team needs to work on if they're going to try to go out there and win the conference this year.
Yeah, I think the one thing that's really difficult about the conference, it plays out a couple different ways, is it's grouped into 2 pods. And so one pod you play the other 3 teams 2 times, and then the other pod you play each team once. So if you get a team 1 time, you play them a certain way, and that could be the only time you play them. We're playing SIUE on Thursday, and we could play them again a 3rd time like we did last year. And it's always difficult to play a team twice, difficult to play them let alone 3 times. But I think the conference games will be a lot closer once you start getting into the 2nd and 3rd games. The travel, the weather plays a part, and so I think the games are going to get a lot tighter. And when teams start to understand their strengths and weaknesses, I think that the margins get tighter.
Yep. Yeah. And I'm not an SIUE kid, but I am from Edwardsville. But I give you guys the pass. You guys go out there, kick butt, bring home a winner.
Yes. And this week, the team also recorded 11 shots on goal, with the team scoring on more than half of them, marking the most shots on goal this season against a Division I opponent. What was the way that Eastern was playing that allowed you and your team to be so dominant?
Yeah, I think we increased that in the second half, but one of our main concerns was that topic exactly, is we're creating a lot of shots in the first half, but the on-target category was not good enough. So I think we simplified what we did played much faster and more simple, and guys were pretty selfless, and they were a little bit more aggressive to get in and around the goal and put their shots on goal, and eventually goals change games.
Sure. And after that game, your team is now second in the conference in scoring averages, per game. What allows this team to be as good as they've been so far in the attacking third?
I think it's exciting that we have a lot of what we call them weapons, or different players that have different attributes. We have some guys who are really pacey. We have other guys who are super technical. Guys are good to hold up play. Some guys good in the air, and it allows us to maybe use guys in different ways. And our guys know it's a next man up mentality, whether a guy gets hurt or what may bring. And so it's always nice to see the selflessness of our guys. And I'm not a guy who's caught up on starts and minutes. I just want production out of what your time is on the field. So guys really stepped up last game and the last few games, and pretty much over the last month, a lot of guys have done great work, and we just got to keep building on that.
And now, like you said, this is back-to-back games where you've held your opponent to under 10 shots and have very few on-goal shots. Cameron, on the defensive side, why have other teams been struggling to put pressure on you guys?
I think first and foremost, it's Coach Bertsch. He's been really asking us to get our defensive details and principles better. I think early on in the season, they weren't up to par, up to standard as he knows and as the players knew. So I think it's just kind of honing in on those details and making sure that we're buttoned up in that aspect. And I think also when the offense is producing, like I said, it just takes a lot off of the defense.
Yeah. And so looking ahead to what's left of the season, you guys will continue in conference play this week as you again take on SIUE at home at Hunter Stadium on Thursday. The Lions took on the Cougars earlier in the season and lost by a score of 0-2. Coach, looking back on that game, what can you guys do differently to ensure a different result?
Well, I would almost guarantee you, hopefully not give up a goal in the first minute like we did last time. That'll help. Playing from a deficit 89 minutes is not helpful. Not a good equation for us. But, look, I think we did a lot of positive things. I think we got to get better from that. We got to tighten some details, and I don't think the effort was poor. I just think the execution and the ability to put ourselves in a position right off the bat, we did not do that. So that really made us play catch-up. And then you have to expend more energy. You got to change a little bit, and I think that's always difficult for teams when you have to change, and then the other team's up by a goal or two, and they kind of can be the best version of them. So I think hopefully we get off to a good start and we get the first goal or the second goal or whatever.
And then, Cameron, so you're in conference play right now, and we've talked to a lot of other athletes out there about the difference between conference play versus the non-conference games. For you and the team coming into games, do you guys prepare any differently for these conference games versus the non-cons?
I personally don't think so. I think there might be a mentality where, yes, this is a conference game, but I think Bertsch and the coaching staff stressed it that we got to take every game as serious as the next. We're only thinking about the next game, so whether it's non-conference or conference. But I think conference games, yeah, they bring a little bit of a different mentality, like I said, yeah.
And being on the field and seeing all like this play out, how do you feel like that the team knows like what they're doing and making sure that like they're up by so much and going into the second half?
Yeah, I think it's important for the team to be up, especially this next game on Thursday. I think, like Coach Bertsch said, when a team scores and we have to change, it's difficult. So if we can put another team in that position, it'll be good for us.
All right.
And this team has shown you not only that with the last game, but with the games leading into conference play, that they're prepared to dig and show up for you and show up for the team. How does this help when preparing for a game and making sure they're ready as the conference play continues, Coach?
Yeah, I think, the early part of the season's, I think, more difficult for the coaches than it is the players. You don't have a lot of information on your opponents. You just kind of roll out what you worked on in preseason the best you can, and then you get maybe a game here or there to scout your opponent. I think now everyone knows everything about everyone, and you just got to go be the best version of you and execute, and sometimes that's going to work. Sometimes you could play great and lose. We've definitely not played well and won ourselves. So I think just for conference play, the margins go smaller, and it's almost everyone calls it kind of the second season where, like, no matter what you did in the non-conference, it doesn't really matter. It matters what you do in conference and putting yourself in a position to be in a position in the playoffs, and then obviously doing well in the playoffs.
So as someone who enjoys soccer but doesn't completely understand the strategy side of it, what are you looking for whenever you're looking at film of other teams coming into these games?
I think you look at just the SWOT analysis, like what's the strengths, what's the weaknesses, what's opportunities for us, and what's a threat. And so, each team has all those things, and we do too. So you're trying to see, hey, this is what makes them tick. This is why they're maybe winning. This is why they're not winning. And then at the end of the day, we call it kind of the 80-20 rule. It's got to be 80% about us. You can't be worried only about our opponents, but 20% there has to be some fear that if we don't do us well and we don't limit what they do well, we won't get the results we're looking for.
All right. Well, we're going to look ahead even further to the rest of the season, looking ahead to the rest of the schedule. I mean, right now it's an exciting time for Lindenwood Athletics. Every single team we've talked to, they feel like they can compete in the conference this year, so we'll break down the rest of the schedule before we head into our trivia section. So you guys are going to have the game against the Cougars coming up on Thursday. Then you'll have one more home game on this homestand against Western Illinois University. Then you guys will head down to Texas to take on Houston Christian and Incarnate Word. Then they'll travel back up to St. Chuck to take on Liberty, go up to Charleston to take on Eastern Illinois University, and they'll finish the year against Southern Indiana. So it's going to be a good stretch down this. Oh my gosh, English is hard today. It's going to be a nice schedule down the finish here, and you guys need to show up. Go up to Hunter Stadium, pack the place, be loud. You guys show support for the team, because I know we've talking about with all the other schools, all the other sports that we've had on the show. Main thing is they can feel the energy. I know you guys can feel the energy when the crowds are loud. So we got to get out there. You got to support them. But we're going to move into our more fun section, and I'm going to stop talking for a minute because I've been stumbling over my words quite a bit today. So, Emily, introduce us to trivia.
This is my favorite section on this thing because we've started it, 2 weeks ago, and I think it's been pretty well. Now, the last 2 weeks, coaches have won. So, are you ready, Cam, to try and defeat your coach?
I'm ready.
All right.
So we're handing you guys some paper here and some pencils.
Yes.
It's going to be multiple choice, A, B, C, or D. We're going to ask you guys the questions, and then we'll go through it at the end once you guys turn them in. So, Cameron, I hope you're ready here. I know you're going to get one of them.
I believe in
100%.
Don't cheat, Cameron.
Yep.
Yeah, don't cheat. I'll be watching.
We'll be watching you guys. We're going to make sure that we're staying on top of it. So most of this is going to be pretty surface-level soccer stuff. So, he's looking over already.
You can't be cheating.
So, question 1. Who is referred to as the king of soccer? It is a nickname. Your options are A, Neymar, B, Pele, C, Messi, or D, Ronaldo. Emily, who did you have that actually requested this question to be on here?
My friend who plays on Eastern Kentucky, shout out Mel. She'll be listening to this right now. She's in class, but she said send me the recording after. So she was like, I got you. Here's one. And I made sure to do this one.
Well, Cameron, you look like you were a little confused in that one, but hopefully moving into the second question, you got a better chance here. So who has scored the most international goals for Team USA, men's or women's? It is going to be A, Clint Dempsey, B, Landon Donovan, C, Abby Wambach, and D, Mia Hamm. And I'll say this, one of these players was an inspiration of mine growing up. We'd always play, I think it was a version of Knockout, but for soccer. They'd always pick a player, and I was the only person to ever take this player.
Okay.
So we're going to move on to our third question. This one should be a toss-up, hopefully, for you guys. Which country has won the most World Cups? Is it A, Argentina, B, Germany, C, Brazil, or D, Italy? And I am excited for this World Cup. It's always a fun time when there's just soccer on 24/7 and the competition's that high. All right, both of you guys have your answer for that one?
Yep.
All right, moving on to number 4. I think this was one that coach is going to get this one for sure. We always throw one in there. I think that the coach will know he has some connections
that's why coaches
to.
win. Okay, I see.
Well, there's always one freebie.
There's always one freebie, just in case.
Which NCAA school has won the most NCAA soccer championships? Is it A, St. Louis, B, Stanford, C, Indiana, or D, UCLA?
So Cameron looked pretty confident on that one. He was ready.
That's good. That means he's ready. He's going to compete. I'm excited to see this week if we can finally have an athlete take down the coach. And number 5, which country was the runner-up in this year's Copa America tournament? Was it A, Colombia, B, Argentina, C, Brazil, or D, Canada? Also a very exciting and entertaining tournament to watch on TV.
Yes.
I don't remember. I think it was the Euros where you had the one referee who set the record for most cards handed out in a game. And I watched that live and I was like, this is absurd. But that's the surface level stuff that I watch when I watch soccer. I watch all the fouls and everything and I'm like, well, this is fun. I'm a hockey fan. She's a hockey fan. We love the physicality.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Can I have your paper? Producer just came in our ear and said, let's go Blues. They did win today.
They did. Season opener.
All right, so we're going to go down here, recap everything before we finish up our show. The first question was, who is referred to as the king of soccer? Coach, you answered Pele, and Cameron, you answered Ronaldo. The correct answer was Pele. So, Coach, you are up 1-0 moving in the second question. Second question was, who has scored the most international goals for Team USA? Coach, you answered Abby Wambach. And Cameron, you also answered Abby Wambach, and the correct answer was Abby Wambach. So you guys are both you guys both have one apiece at least. You have 2, Coach. Sorry, English is hard for me today. I am on the struggle bus. I slept like crap last night. But, hey, we're trying to get it done. You guys have been awesome so far, so thank you guys for coming on. But we're going to move into question number 4. This one, actually question number 3. See? Emily, I should have you reading this stuff, man. I'm on the struggle bus over here.
Oh, you got it. You got it.
All right. Which country has won the most World Cups? Coach, you answered with C. That was Brazil. And Cameron, you also went with C. Brazil was the correct answer. So it is 2-3. Coach, you are perfect so far. You could be our first perfect score. Number 4 was which NCAA school has won the most soccer championships? And you guys both answered A, St. Louis. So it comes down to the final question. Cameron, all you can hope for is a tie here. Final question was, which country was the runner-up in this year's Copa America tournament? And both of you guys answered Colombia. That is the correct answer. I will say, Cameron, that was the highest score we've had anybody put on there until your coach showed up.
Yeah.
Perfect score today. Great job, Coach. Thank you guys for playing trivia. And thank you guys both for coming on the show. Thank you to Athletics for letting us do this every single week. Once again, Emily, I should just throw this to you.
I got it.
Yeah, take it from me.
Thank you all for listening to the Lions In on the Tower, Lindenwood Student Radio. Make sure you catch the soccer team in action Thursday at Hunter Stadium when they take on the SIUE Cougars. Kickoff is at 7 p.m. and the game will be on ESPN+. If you're not able to attend, but I really think you all should, go out there, give them that energy that they need. Big thank you to both of you for coming on. Big thank you to Caleb back in the studio. And thank you to Evans Commons for letting us use their facility.
It is the loudest atmosphere in student radio. But, hey, we're appreciative that we get to do this. Gives us a little bit of attention. Yes. Everybody's always walking by looking at us with the athletic banner up here, always wondering what we're doing. Actually, had someone before the show come by and ask what we were doing. So
they did.
Yeah,
wow.
We got some interest today.
Yeah.
But once again, thank you guys for watching. And that's all from the Lions Den.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us.